You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430 podcast. This is episode 231, and we've got a treat for you tonight. Hopefully, you will not have to listen to me talk much. We've got Steve Biello.
Yep.
Steve Biello. Geez, that's for some reason tripping me up. Coming to us all the way from the great state of Pennsylvania, and he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to wing shooting, clay shooting, the whole bit, and I cannot wait. I'm going to say this right now, Stephen, Craig. I bet you're going to have to come back for a second episode. I can already tell because I know we're just going to be just too much information, and you're not going to be able to squeeze it all in an hour. I know it. So the invite is extended right now for you to come back on a second.
Be my pleasure.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of the Union 0430 is brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, Ducklander Calls, and First Light hunting gear. Without those three brands, this show wouldn't be possible. So thank you, and please reach out to them, send them some love, and check out their socials. For anybody that's wondering, a little birdie told me, I don't know if I'm allowed to even say this, but I'm going to say it because I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think they can do anything to me, really. But First Light will drop their waders on the 4th of August of this year. It's been a long time coming. The waders are finally coming, and it will be the 4th of August, somewhere in around there. I may have screwed up the date, but if you are from First Light, and I'm not supposed to say that, just ignore what I just said and pretend that it didn't happen. I'd appreciate it. And of course, Stephen, a good friend of yours as well as mine, the voice of the Union 0430, Captain Jeff Coates from Pit Boss Waterfowl, just outside Ocean City, Maryland. Stephen, buddy, we've been back and forth it's been a long time on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And you always chime in on my stuff too, which I really appreciate. So welcome to the show, buddy. I can't wait to get into it with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, the pleasure is all ours. Craig, I can just see the cogs moving in your head already. So I know the questions are coming from you. Craig is always good for really smart questions. So
I'm just dreading right now because Caleb's upstairs watching the dog, and he was good all day. But then Carrie came home and was having issues with him because it's really windy and crap, so he wouldn't stay outside, and things got messy. So now I'm just worried that Caleb's up there trying to take care of him while I'm down here.
Well, I don't know, man. I think sometimes, Stephen, you can chime in on this because you've owned multiple dogs and been training dogs and the whole bit as well. It doesn't have to be too crazy with the structure and stuff at this stage. Like a brand new pup, you got to let them be a pup. And Caleb's a smart kid, man, and he's a good kid. He's not going to let the dog do anything that he's not going to let him chew up anything that he's not supposed to. So
I'm just concerned about
he'll be all right.
The mess that there could be if things go bad.
Buddy, if you're worried about a mess, you should not have got a dog.
So she's sleeping behind me. I have a 5-month-old Hungarian Wirehair Vizsla, and she's just, knock on wood, getting the whole housebreaking thing. And I live in South Philadelphia off of Route 611. We call it Broad Street. I don't have a yard. I have a small garage and a driveway in the back. So anytime she gets up and heads towards the door or starts sniffing anywhere looking towards the door, one of us jumps up and and throws a leash on her. But believe me, I've had her since March. I've gone through multiple rolls of paper towels, puppy pads, and whatever. We use Simple Green, but we've used Murphy's Wood soap because I have hardwood floors, and just trying to get her into that. Hey, there's the door. I need to go outside. Yeah. So, but she's surprisingly for 5 months, when she's up, she's a mega ball of energy. But when she sleeps, and that's that's when I like her the best at this point. No, I'm only kidding.
How's it going with Maverick anyways, Craig? Like, I know the first couple nights were, sleepless, which is par for the course, but
This is
how
the
is
first night,
everything
really.
going?
No, everything's been really good. The first night, yeah, like I had no idea the sounds that puppies make. Oh God, that's awful.
Yeah.
But no, it was really only that first night, because in the second night, I was up every half hour with him and taking him out and stuff. But the second night, he said she would take care of things that night so I could get some sleep. And then she said he got up like 1:30 that night. She took him out, and then he was fine till the morning. And
Okay.
and then yeah, like since then it's been good. Like last night, same thing. Like I set my alarm through the night, got up a couple times. Like I got up once at 2, took him out. I set the alarm again for like 3:30 or something. I got up, checked on him. He was still asleep, and then he was fine till just a little after 5 this morning, which isn't too much earlier than I'd get up anyways. But around the house, he's been really good. Very few accidents until today, really. First thing this
Okay.
morning after I had him out. And then yesterday too, because I think I was telling you guys, we've had a vacant lot in front of us for like a year. And all of a sudden, of course, we bring a puppy home and they roll in a giant excavator. And so
Of
yesterday while I was at work and Carrie had him outside, they're banging around the excavator and everything. He didn't like that. So then he
No.
kept running back to the house, and same thing, came in the door, peed on the floor right away because he wouldn't stay outside. And then, yeah, today everybody was gone. So it was kind of nice. I was able to stop because I had to go from Barrie up to Bala, so like up in the Muskoka area. So I had to go right by the house. So Carrie left before I did this morning. I stuck around, did some work from home to keep him out a little bit longer. Went to the office, had to do some stuff, and went to Bala. And on the way by, I was able to stop in, check on him. He was in the kennel, everything was good. I stuck around for a half hour, went up, did my stuff, stopped on the way back to the office. Same thing. Everything was good. Made it through the day, no problem. But
Good.
then, yeah, while I was out and Carrie and the boys were home with them, the wind had gotten crazy today, which it wasn't like that when I stopped by the house. So it was it was howling and raining hard, so he wouldn't stay out. Same thing. They tried to keep him out, kept coming in. As soon as he came in the house, he was just messes everywhere. But then Carrie left to go to dance. I took him outside. Like, he woke up. He was just kind of hanging out on the floor. He woke up. I took him outside. I messaged her like, oh no, I don't know what your problem was. Like, he had a nice big long pee outside. Came in. Everything's good.
Hey man,
But no, like he's been really good. Like, he's like,
that's awesome.
Again, like, I have no experience with the puppy, but like just seems to be picking up on things. Like, we've only had him home since Sunday night.
Well,
He's
buddy,
picking
if
up
you're
on
only
stuff really
had,
well.
yeah, if you've only had a couple accidents, I think you're winning the battle
Yeah.
right now because
We haven't even used a roll of paper towels yet.
oh gosh, don't complain, man.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock
but-
on wood is right.
No, like seems easier than I was expecting, anyways. For now.
No, that absolutely no. You just like I said, buddy. It's not rocket appliances, right? Like it's you just when he wakes up, take him outside.
Inside.
Yeah,
That's the extent of it. Because when it comes time for training, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anything, but are you going to ship him off to a trainer? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like right now, the puppy phase, let him be a puppy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had him at the ball diamond with the kids because both boys are playing ball, so I've had him out at their
I've
games.
seen the picture last night.
Kind of kept off to the distance, so it wasn't having to. So he wasn't just getting jumped on by everybody. So only had a few people come by, which is nice. Didn't want everybody in the space right away.
Yeah. So socialization is really, really big. Just getting them used to the kennel in the car, socialization. The field trainer that I use when I told her that I got this pup, she highly recommended that I take her to a puppy socialization class. So I wasn't doing anything for a couple of Saturdays. I kind of stopped my life of doing other activities to spend as much time as I can with the pup to get her, used to the house and try to get the house broken and everything. But so every Saturday, I think we went to 3 or 4 of them. Of course, she was the biggest, craziest dog in the class, but it really, really, helps. And my pup loves people more than other dogs. She gets excited for other dogs. And then there's a couple of sniffs, and then she runs over and she wants to jump. My biggest challenge right now with her is 2 things: getting her to walk nice on her leash, which is only 5 months, I understand, and to stop jumping up and down on people. That's the biggest problems I have right now.
Well,
Well, we-
and those are fixable problems. So which is good, right? When it comes to the pup, because those are things that you can fix through training and doing some corrective measures, right? So no, that's good, man. You know, we're in 10 minutes into recording, and Stephen, we never even got into your introduction, your bio. We right into the dogs, which I just love talking about the dogs anyways, but I want to give you some time right now to sort of give an introduction of who you are, what it is that you do, and then we'll roll the show going and keep bouncing stuff off you, because I've got a ton of stuff that I want to ask you. And so yeah, I'll hand it over to you and let you do sort of kind of your intro, because I will totally screw it up. And so yeah, over to you, Stephen.
Okay, my name's Steve Biello. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been a lifelong hunter. I kind of grew up in a time where there was still a tradition of hunting in the city. I'm from an Italian immigrant family. Lived right down by the Italian market growing up. If you guys see the movie Rocky, where he runs down the street and somebody throws a tomato, I've been on that street 1,000 times in my life. So that's where I grew up. And so I was fortunate enough to have an uncle who took me under, two uncles. One took me under his wing for fishing. Another one took me under his wing for shooting. He had a farm up in north central Pennsylvania, had 218 acres, and we would go up there and just putz around in the woods, and taught us how to shoot BB guns and little 22s and shotguns. And that kind of just, I'm the only one in my immediate household that did that. Drove my parents crazy. And I got bit by the outdoor bug, the hunting bug, at a very young age. Started hunting as much as I could as I progressed in life. I was telling Damien, when I turned 18, we had sporting goods stores in Center City, Philadelphia, where all the business districts and everything like that, but they sold rifles and handguns at the time. So in the United States, Pennsylvania, you got to be 18 years old to buy a rifle. I walked up to Center City. I purchased a Remington 700 BDL. They wrapped it up in a box for me, and I took the bus home on my 18th birthday. That was a gift to myself.
Nice.
And shortly thereafter, my parents had got me a shotgun because a lot of the guys in the neighborhood bird hunted, and we had a good wild pheasant population I caught the end of it. Sadly, a lot of that is gone in Pennsylvania. There was a few good attempts by our game commission to reintroduce wild birds. Got a bunch of birds from South Dakota and Montana in exchange for turkeys and stuff like that. So now it's pretty much a put and take. There are some areas, basically, I grew up as a bird hunter. Bird hunting transitioned into, I shot trap for a while at a club I belonged to, shot skeet, and then one day I stumbled with that same uncle onto sporting clays, and I was hooked ever since. God, I'm trying to think when that first was. Probably around I'm going by my police career so I can remember. Probably around 1998, 99. And then by 2006, I was so much into it that I took an instructor's course, level 1 through the National Sporting Clay Association. Passed that, enjoyed it. I started my own instructing business, which is that Clays and Wings, which I use on social media for the most part. And 2008, I had an opportunity to take my level 2 certification, and I took that and passed that. And all these certifications, they're pass or fail. Not everybody passes. And then I took a couple mental management courses with an Olympic rifle shooter, and basically just built my repertoire as an instructor. And so next year, 2026, I'm around June of 2026, I'll be instructing for 20 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You've forgotten more than I will ever know. That's a solid statement. I want to, an impressive intro to say the least. And the one thing that jumps out at me is the fact that at 18 years old in Philadelphia, because I'm sure there's areas across United States and Canada that you could probably still do this without a bunch of people losing their mind. But in a city like Philadelphia, at 18 years old, to take your shotgun or your rifle with brown paper in a box and jump on the bus without a bunch of people coming completely unglued, that's impressive. And I'm not going to lie, I wish we were back to that.
Oh,
Obviously,
so do I.
yeah, down in the States, you're a little bit more forgiving than what it is up here in communist Canada right now. But it's getting pretty crazy up here. But that's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down right now. I want to start the conversation off with this topic, and you had sort of kind of put it in my head, and I'm really, you did the work. I'm just gonna hop on your coattails here, but you had said, I would love to talk about the importance of knowing how to shoot. And there's a bunch of people that I think take it for granted that it is a very technical skill to have, to be able to shoot and shoot properly. And we're at the age, and this is going to be out long-winded on my part as part of the course. But we're in a day and age where everything's getting recorded. Everybody's got a phone out. Everybody's shooting video and putting it up on social media. And one of the biggest things that I try to do, and I think most responsible hunters try to do, they try to dispatch the animal as humanely as possible. So no cripples, knocking the bird down properly and the whole bit. So I really wanted to pick your brain on this whole know the importance of how to shoot. And I want you to, I'm hoping you can elaborate on that for the listeners.
I'll certainly try. I mean, we touched about it in the pre-show about basically practicing like you play. So your shotgun, and I agree with you 100% when it comes to being as humane as possible. Not only do we owe it to ourselves, I do a lot of bird hunting, both waterfowl and upland birds. So we owe it to the animals that we're pursuing. So you got to know you have to know your gear. You have to know, and I'm not hyping any one brand in particular as far as ammo or guns or whatever works for you. And whatever I talk about is things that work for me. You just have to know it. I mean, whether you're shooting, you mentioned Apex, whether you're shooting Boss, whether you're shooting just good old Remington steel shot, you have to know how your gun performs with that particular load and choke combination. Like I had mentioned, I 4 years ago, so I went out to North Dakota, a bucket list trip for a buddy and I picked up a new gun. Not that I need another shotgun. I have way too many, but that's part of my thing. And I would go to different sporting clay courses and I would bring the load that I was going to shoot. Usually they have patterning boards. That's where I would do my testing. And I would shoot them at 25 yards. I would shoot them at 30 yards. And it's the same thing when you're setting up your decoy spread. You have to know what you expect, what type of performance you expect out of whatever load you're shooting, whatever your choke you're shooting at your range with your decoy spread. So now if you know that you have your spread, the furthest decoy is 40 yards. Well, you better be darn sure that you know how your gun's performing at 40 yards. And getting back to the gun and the whole thing back at the person, the gun has to fit you. And it has to fit you whatever season you're in. So if you're shooting a gun that has, just say your length of pull, and that's basically from the trigger to the stock, to the buttstock of the shotgun. If it's like I'm 6'2", and I have real long wingspan. So my length of pull is like 15.5 inches on my sporting clay gun. And it's a custom fit gun for me on my sporting clay gun. But my hunting guns, I didn't have any of my hunting guns custom fit. I've got to, you can almost, if you use the gun enough, you can almost make the gun fit for you. But you have to shoot it. So through trial and error and shooting stuff on paper, I know if I'm shooting, I'm a big fan of a 16 gauge for upland hunting. And Boss, by the way, makes a really nice 16 gauge load. So
Aaron Carter. Oh, sorry, I had to jump in there.
No problem. So I have the new Browning A5 in 16 gauge. And the gun's just, I'm a big fan of it's not the old action, but the old style.
Right.
And so what do I do when I first buy the gun? I take the ammunition of my choice and I'm shooting it on patterns. I actually took it out, put some dove loads in it and shot around the tour sporting clays with it as well. If I can hit clay targets with it on a pretty, above average day, I know that the gun pretty much fits me if I'm hitting crossing shots, if I'm hitting, incoming targets, if I'm hitting difficult targets. Yes, practice as often as you can afford, but more importantly, if you're a hunter, practice with what you're going to wear. I have several clients that have come to me over the years that not for clay target shooting, but for hunting. A couple of guys were just straight up waterfowl hunters, and they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. Whether it's, with their particular gun, a lot of it had to do with what they're wearing. A lot of people don't realize that, yes, we shoot with our eyes primarily. Our eyes give us the input to get our hands in the right place so we can hit our duck, hit the goose, hit a target, clay target, but we also shoot from our core. So if you're just whipping the gun around with your arms, you got too much gun speed. And especially with the new pellets and the feet per second on these hypersonic loads, you're talking over 1,500 feet per second. You don't need to move hardly at all because the pellets are coming out so fast that a little bit. You said you're in the military and you shot rifle, correct?
Yep.
So if you hard pull a trigger on a target at say 20 yards, you're probably still going to be in the black. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if you hard pull the trigger on a target that's now 75 or 100 yard, where does that pellet or that bullet go?
Yeah, I'm missing it. Yeah.
It's kind of the same principle with the shotgun, as far as if you pull the trigger and you're kind of whipping the gun, or you're whipping the gun as you're pulling the trigger. Let me clarify that. You're not doing any justice for that target out there. You probably shot 3 or 4 feet in front of it. If you're so the slower, the better, and more controlled. That's what I call it, controlled, when you're approaching your target to pull the trigger.
We used to have a saying in the Army, and I'm sure it's not just us. I'm sure this is all over when it comes to law enforcement and military. But we used to have this saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
That's one of the mantras. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt, but the U.S. Our Navy SEALs use that, and I use it in my instructing. Yeah, it's 100% correct.
100% correct. Now, I did want to back up a little bit and ask you to explain the importance of the length of pull. Just because I don't know if you see it when you're on social media, and Craig, I know you see it, but I see all the time people saying, hey, what's the best gun for a beginning waterfowl hunter or whatever? What's the best shotgun, right? And you'll hear fellas talk about their favorite brands, and this is what you need. Hey, you need a Beretta, you need a Benelli, you need a Weatherby, whatever it is. But then some wise old owl will come along and say, you buy the gun that fits you the best.
Exactly.
Which is always, the sound advice. And that's great to say, but then how does somebody understand when they walk into a Bass Pro or a Cabela's or their local gun shop? How can they figure out what gun fits them best? Can you explain that?
So most American gun manufacturers make their guns to fit the average male. I'm sure it's just in North America, for we'll deal with just North American firearms.
Yeah.
Which, if memory serves me right, it's been a little while since I looked at these statistics, but the average male is 5'10" and 180, 190 pounds. That's what they make their guns for. So I don't know, you gentlemen ever get the chance to meet you in person, but I'm 6'2" and I'm well over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm above average.
Right.
Like I said, I have long arms. The best thing you can do is, if you can, hopefully the shotgun or the salesperson at the store has a little bit of knowledge, will let you shoulder the gun. The old days where you pick the gun up, and I don't know if you could see it on camera, and you put your finger in the trigger guard, and you put the stock here and went, that's going to fit me. That's going to fit me. That I did it. I did it when I was young. I didn't know any better. But to get an actual gun fit, you have to shoulder the gun. It's great if you have access to a mirror, or you know what you're looking at for beads. It's great there. You can't do this in the store. They'll probably freak out. But I've gone with many people to different courses and stuff after they purchase the gun, and I do a preliminary fit, and that's basically I have them make sure the gun's completely unloaded, safe, no ammunition around. I have them mount the gun as if they're mounting it either in a hunting situation or a sporting clay situation, and then I look down the barrel of the gun looking at them. to see how their eye lines up above the bead.
Okay.
So the biggest thing I can tell you, if you're using a gun that has a center bead and a front bead, is when you mount that gun, you can close. I'm also a big proponent of both eyes open shooting.
Yeah, me too.
So, but close your off eye. If you're right-handed, close your left eye and just take a look down that barrel. And if your beads line up like a figure eight or a snowman without you having to cant the gun to the left or to the right, we're talking about pitch here and cast and stuff like that, then you're pretty much on. There's some tools out there now that that companies make that you can just put on the front end of your gun and do a quick mount check that way. But if you have a center bead, then you're looking, that's what you're looking for. It's either a figure eight or a snowman type of deal when you're looking down the barrel. Yep.
I've never heard that one before. I've always, so for me, and this could be totally wrong, but for me, I've always, so I too am a both eyes open when I shoot. So I would pick a spot on the wall or an item on the wall, a picture or whatever, and I would point my gun at that with both eyes open. So I was going to shoot at that, and then I would close one eye, I would close the other eye. If I was still on with my left eye closed, right eye open, if I was still on, then that gun fitted me. That's the way I would do it. But I don't know. I don't know if that's just fluke, because we talked about it before we hit the record button. And Craig, jump in here too, buddy, if you want. But we talked about it before we hit the record button. My very first, what I consider a premium shotgun, was a Benelli shotgun. And if Mark Vitch and Ryan Bro were on the show here with me right now, they would agree with me when I say I couldn't hit the broadside of a burn with that shotgun. And I'm not saying I'm a great shot, but I'm above average shot. And I could not hit a friggin' thing when I was shooting that Benelli. And then I just switched to a Beretta, which I thought fitted me better. And then it was lights out. I was tripling up on birds. Now that didn't happen all the time, but there was the odd time I would triple up on birds, and I was doubling up on birds, and I was shooting amazing. But that was just because, and nothing changed. My ammo didn't change. My choke tubes didn't change. The only thing that changed was the firearm. And
it's all gun fit.
It was gun fit. So I do believe that there is some legitimacy to, it's got to fit you.
Oh, definitely. So if have you ever taken your gun, turned it on the heel of the stock, the top of the butt stock is the heel, the toe is the point that goes into your shoulder over here.
Yeah.
Turned it upside down. Of course, it's a safe and empty gun.
Of course.
And kind of just looked down that gun and look which way your stock bends. Your stock will either be a neutral, it'll have a bend. It should, if you're a right-handed shooter, it should kick out just slightly. It should have this little curved bend going to the, let's see if I'm looking at it, it should go to the right, because that gun has to fit on your shoulder and into your face. Sorry, I'm hitting the microphone. Into your face, under your cheek. So if it's curved to the left, it belongs on your left side. And that's where all these shims come from, with like Benellis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can just turn those around. But most guns are manufactured for right-handed shooters. Now, some of them take tweaking. Like we said in our pre-chat, I like Benellis. I love them. I think they're nice looking guns. They're functional guns. They really work. Can't shoot them. I can't shoot them for a crap. Every one that I've bought, I've sold and lost money on. And I try. I want to like them.
I want to like them. The Italian in me wants to love them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a paisan. It's a cousin, a cugine. So, yeah. So
that's awesome. Craig, you can jump in, because I've got my next question is going to go for a bit. So if you got,
I was just going to say, like when you were talking about the picture thing like that, I do the same thing, just for like even in the basement. I'll pick out one of the pictures or the mirror on the wall and just for shouldering practice, like just bringing it up and then do the same thing. I'll bring it up and then do the same thing. Close my eye and see if I'm lining up, and I'll see it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not in that same spot, and I'll do it again and just kind of keep practice shouldering. And as far as that, going into the store and like find the gun that fits you, it's like, unfortunately, like the best you can really do is you walk in and you hold it to your shoulder once and be like, oh yeah, this is the gun for me. Like, and it just sucks because you don't have that opportunity to to really try it out.
Sometimes they just feel like I primarily shoot Brownings. I've been my uncle. I'll keep blaming him. He's still with us. He's 91 years old. He started me on Brownings, and I primarily shoot them. I have tried them all. Like I said, I really would like to. I have a brand new Benelli 828U that I won from Ducks Unlimited. It's brand new. Over and under. I've never put it together or shot it because I'm afraid it's just going to disappoint me again, or I'll disappoint myself with it again. So,
well, see, I always found, like, for me, Winchesters, like when I started off hunting, like I had, so my first gun was the old Maverick 88, which is why I named the dog Maverick. Okay. But I've already told Carrie and the boys, I said, hopefully the dog is much better than the gun, because that gun was a piece of garbage and didn't work like right off the shelf when we bought it from Canadian Tire. But like when I would go back to the one gun that my dad had when I was growing up was an old Winchester. And then I started using that later on when he wasn't really hunting anymore. And I always found, like, when I'd go back to that gun, I could hit stuff way more than I was with anything else. Like that gun in particular always fit me. And same, like my go-to gun for the last bunch of years, I just had a Winchester SXP. And I got that because originally I was looking just for a new, cheaper gun. And I was going to get the an 870. And I went into Cabela's and I was dealing with Blake Schmerler from Delta. And he was still working at Cabela's in Barrie at the time. And so he suggested, like, he just handed me a few different guns to try. And same thing, he handed me the SXP. I held that and it felt way better than the 870. And so that's what I bought, and that's what I've been running since. But for me, it was funny. I always found Winchester, whether it was my dad's old gun or the new SXP, both fit me and worked a lot better for me than most other guns.
Here's a question for you both. And Craig, you bring up a good point when you bring up Winchester, because Winchester's been making a quality shotgun, a quality firearm for a very, very long time. But I know within my circle of friends that if you talk shotguns, they'll say, well, you got to buy one of the 3 Bs, Benelli, Beretta, or Browning. Those are the de facto, I'll call, bomb-proof guns. Do you think that there is a attitude out there that you need to be purchasing one of those high-end firearms in order to have status, for lack of a better term? Do you know what I mean? Because, if the Winchester, like the very first shotgun, well, not my first shotgun was a Cooey that my grandfather gave me. But when I bought my first pump action, it was a Mossberg, and that gun was amazing. It was like light, like I shot a lot of birds with that gun. But then I had a little bit more money. The kids got older and I had more money. Then I was like, well, I got to get a Benelli, because that's what all the best hunters shoot, is a Benelli or a Beretta or a Browning, or, you know what I mean? Do you think that there's a status aligned with one of the 3 Bs?
I think it goes through in waves like anything else, right? It's like, and I think it kind of goes on either end. So it's either you get the brand new people out to it, and it's like they've heard about the big names, and so they just automatically go to that. But on the opposite end, you get the old guys that have been around forever, and they just, they made up their mind 40, 50 years ago, and things have changed, but like they've never tried anything else. And they just, because even my dad, like, he still to this day will say, no, Mossbergs are garbage, because he had an experience with Mossberg probably 50 plus years ago. And he's never shot another one since, right? So it's like, so I think you kind of get those legacy views of things as well.
Well, that's very true, because when it comes to Benelli, and, I worked with Claudio Ongaro in Alberta last year, and same with the Saskatchewan Lodge. Like, Benellis are the shotguns that the client, and you got to keep in mind that 98%, 99% of the clients that come into Ongeros are Americans. Well, for the most part, they're all flying into Alberta and Saskatchewan. They're not bringing firearms with them. They rent the firearms from the outfitter. And so the Benelli is what Claudio and Ongeros use. And I'm just not a big fan of them, but it's not because the operable, Jesus, that I just made up a word there. It's not the functionality of the weapon, because the gun fires, it does what it's supposed to do. It's just, it doesn't fit me. It doesn't work for me. So therefore, that's why I don't like the Benelli. Does that make sense?
Sure. Just a little backstory with modern day Winchester. Modern day Winchesters are made by Browning.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So and I could shoot. Matter of fact, one of my favorite guns, I still have one in 20 gauge, is the Winchester SX3. I've had a bit of luck with Ducks Unlimited lately. I just sold a Winchester SX4, which was my primary waterfowl gun, because I won a Browning Gold through Ducks Unlimited.
Holy,
a Browning Gold 2.
holy!
So,
You and Craig should, like,
Yeah.
you and Craig should sort of exchange information, because I've never seen anybody win so much shit at DU events than Craig, and you're coming in as a close second here right now.
Well, let me check it. It's a Browning Maxus 2. I said it wrong. It's not the Maxus. This is the Maxus 2 in the old waterfowl pattern, the old camo pattern.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I'm shooting in a Ducks Unlimited fundraiser event on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and I'm shooting with a buddy of mine. He's probably luckier than me. So I'm going to, not to jinx myself, but one of us will probably come home with something either from a raffle or from the shoot. And
Cool.
I said, another one I'll have to, I honestly, I've won the last, it's funny, through Ducks Unlimited in the last 2 years, I won each of the 3 B guns. I won a Beretta, a 320 gauge. I won the Browning Maxus 2, and I won the Benelli.
Wow.
So, yeah, so
it's interesting, because I did want to put this out there, and the people that know me know my love of Beretta. I purchased the A400 Extreme. I didn't like it.
Did it have the kickoff?
Yeah.
It's probably why you didn't like it.
I did not like that gun. I sold it. I had it in 20 gauge. I bought it without even shouldering it or anything. I was like, it's a Beretta. I like Berettas, and I bought it. And I tell you, I didn't like it. The gun functioned perfect. It was a great gun. It just, I didn't like it. And I went back to my A300, which has been the gun that it just works for me. And people laugh at me because they're like, it's an A300. Why don't you just go up to the A400? And I was like, no, I don't like it. It didn't work for me.
So that A300 action is based off of their A3 or their 391s, their AL 391s, which have shot, those guns, besides the hunting guns, have shot and won more sporting clay tournaments almost off the shelf without some custom fit work whatsoever.
Really?
So that's a proven, as long as you keep it clean, that's a proven action, and it works. It really, really works. You can't go wrong with that action.
Okay, so to my question that I alluded to 5 minutes ago, and this is awesome conversations. I love it. Pre-show, we had talked about this, and I had thrown this out to you, Stephen. You can have a gun fitted for you, and in September, the gun is working amazing. You're dropping birds crazy. And then November and December hits, and you're wearing that thick jacket. Now you're not hitting the birds the same. And I can tell you 100% my success rate from a layout blind wearing a winter jacket or a warmer, thicker jacket, my success rate drastically drops once I start wearing layers on clothes. And I'm just hoping that you can elaborate on that. For people to sort of kind of squirrel away as something that they need to think about when they get into the late season hunting.
So you're not going to, obviously, like at one time I went, and this is my sporting clay shooting, I went and had a gun fit, and the gentleman talked me into, and it wasn't that much money, so I went for it. He talked me into getting a winter recoil pad, length of pull wise, and a summer recoil pad, just take the screws out, pop them down. Benellis have, I don't know if they still do. I haven't had a new Benelli in my hands in a little while. They have the Tupperware pop-out recoil pads on the synthetic guns anyway. I'm not sure about the wood ones. So if you can afford to do that and have a couple different lengths of pull as far as an easy change on your gun, as far as recoil pads, anything with a wood stock or something not as simple as a Benelli, it's going to take a little. Beretta does it as well. They have a fast release system for their guns, for their recoil pads. You can get 2 different size recoil pads. That would greatly help. But if you don't have the capability or the ability to do that, it's just a matter of you have to practice. You're going to have a longer draw length, so to speak, because you're wearing bulkier clothes. So when you're getting up, and at my age and with my back, most layout blinds don't work for me unless they're spring loaded or catapult me into position. But so your draw length is going to have to come out a lot further for you to get into your gun than you're used to. It'll kind of mount the same way because you're coming up over that mountain of clothes that we all wear. Yeah. Or try to go to some. Either way, can you go to the new modern waterfowl hunting garb? A lot of people have gone to electric, vest and stuff on there, which kind of thins down the bulk. So you just want to, and I tell people, I give lessons all year long. So I tell people, if we're shooting in January and February, try to dress warm, but try not to be too bulky. So now if we're talking about hunting and, like I said, I have people come to me that are wing shooters, duck hunters. And a lot of times, unfortunately, the clients I have, they're looking to do it in August and September. Right. And I go through this whole thing with them that, like we had mentioned in the pre-show, if you have a range that you belong to and you can do it safely with the approval of the range owner, or if you have your own property where you can shoot safely, set up that layout blind. If you're doing it on your own property, set up that layout blind on a cool late afternoon or whatever. Put as much garb as you can on until, and if you have an old hand thrower or machines, or even just sit up practicing, put the air conditioning in your house when nobody's home, set everything up, put your gear on, and just practice mounting your gun.
No, it's a good point. Craig, when you were getting Caleb ready for his hunt tests and stuff, I know that was one thing that you were doing with him, was just getting him to pop up out of the blind and shouldering the gun and making sure that he was doing it safely. So it's something that I need to do, is practice wearing more clothes. That's something that I need to do. But have you done that with Caleb? Like, have you done it yourself? Have you taken that into account when it comes? So first off, I got to say, Stephen, like, Craig's nickname is Triple Threat, but that's a play on what, like, that is, we watch Craig bang, bang, bang at a single goose and not touch a feather.
Standing single goose at like 30 yards.
Standing.
And it didn't even start to move until after the second shot.
Okay.
So
it's not always like that.
No, it's not always.
No, we all have our days, believe me. I know.
But I'm just wondering, like, is that something, do you think about it? Because I think about it. Do you think about it? Have you talked to Caleb about it when it comes to shooting, that, hey, listen, it's all cool when you're wearing a t-shirt and you're shouldering the gun, but when you're wearing, thick clothing, I think it's not going to be the same.
I think I remember talking to him about that because I've got my old Bass Pro, I think it was like the canvas back jacket, and it's just huge, right? It's bulky, especially when you're sitting, like in the shoulder, like it sticks out, kind of creates this peak. So it's like, I know I've always had to do that. Like if we're sitting in a boat or something, I have to kind of reach way out and bring it around. So I think I remember talking to Caleb about that, just talking to him about in the blind, how it can get caught like kind of under your shoulder and that, just kind of putting it in his head. But even like, other than that one day where it was just before our hunt, having him practice, like just sitting up, and I explained to him, like, kind of bring the gun out and back into your shoulder kind of thing. But personally, like myself, I don't know that I've ever sat in the blind and done that myself, just practicing. And then when sometimes
is that Maverick or your dog?
That's my dog. That's why I tried to cover it.
I was like
she must have saw. Hey, she's coming down the steps now. She must have saw one of the cats. So,
no, sorry, I interrupted you there. I was going to say, Craig, Maverick's got a great bark onto him for
that's not him.
for a 4-month-old dog.
He hardly actually makes any noise.
Yeah. Well, that's a great dog right there. Again, like we're 13 minutes away from being an hour. So which is what I thought was going to happen, that we've had some great conversation. I did want to take a chance, Steve, and I want to talk about Mueller chokes because for a couple reasons. A, I've met Jimmy. He's a great dude, and I want to send some attention his way. And the other is that I now know a bunch of people that shoot Mueller chokes, and I have not heard anybody say anything bad about them. And you are an ambassador for Mueller chokes. And I just thought this would be a great opportunity for you to stand on your soapbox and talk about how awesome Jimmy Mueller's chokes are and what they're doing.
So I'd be glad to. So listen, I've shot them all. I've shot them all in the sporting clay realm. Any choke manufacturer you can think about. And I can just tell you that Mueller's, for me, besides being really adding no weight, now I shoot the ultralights for sporting clays, and I shoot the H2O series for waterfowl.
Mm-hmm.
They just, I can't, just on breaks alone with targets. As I mentioned in the pre-show, I shoot U2s in my over and unders. And my sporting clay guns, and I'll shoot a U2 at a 15-yard rabbit or a 60-yard crosser. I might adjust my ammunition, and I'm not a big fan of changing a whole lot, so I'm usually shooting 1 ounce, 7.5,
Yeah.
and from there, that's for sporting clays. Sorry, my pup just ran by. She stole a piece of paper out of the trash. So, but they work. The breaks. My friends, we laugh because I shoot with a small group of guys. And they all now, whatever gun they bought, they went from Brownings to Fab Arms over and unders, and they're N2, I forget what it is, N2 Elite or something like that. And the first thing they did was they went out and they bought Mueller chokes for the guns, and they just work. They're easy to clean. They don't hold a whole lot of, hardly any, if any, plastic residue from the wads. And when you're shooting sporting clays, you're shooting, a round of 100 in one day, but you could shoot up to 250, 300 rounds of ammo a day in a big tournament. And you don't have to take the chokes out and worry about fouling from plastic. Wish I did that much shooting on a waterfowl hunt. It would be fantastic, but I've never had any problems with the H2O waterfowl series. I was telling Damien that I have a Browning waterfowler, Satori waterfowler. So when I use that, I'll put a decoying choke in the bottom barrel, and I'll put and a passing choke in the top barrel. Yep. And I have the UFO as well. I wouldn't know. You could probably actually shoot down a small aircraft with the UFO choke with the right shell payload, or go drone shooting now that they're doing with them. But I made a shot one time that it was a flighted duck hunt, but I was amazed. I mean, I just reached up. This duck was in the stratosphere, and I just reached up and pushed through it and kept my gun moving and pulled the trigger. And the guide said to me, "Jesus Christ, what are you shooting?" And I said, "That was the decoying choke. That wasn't even anything tighter than the decoying choke."
Oh,
and I didn't have any special. I was just whatever waterfowl ammo I had sitting in my blind bag at the time. I wasn't even looking. Wasn't anything new. It wasn't Boss. It wasn't Apex. It was just good old steel shot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I want to friggin' air that little bit about you reaching up into the stratosphere, because I've hunted with fellas that I'm not a big fan of taking of
Sky busting
birds, right? And I hunted with a couple of fellas a bunch of years ago, and they swore by Jeb's chokes, which another amazing product, right? And they swore by Jeb's chokes, and we're sitting, and I think we only needed a couple more birds to get our limit. Anyways, there was one that come in, and I mean, it was up there. It was up in the stratosphere. And this one guy said, "I'm going to take a poke at it." And I was like, "Don't you dare." I was like, "There's no way you're hitting that bird. That's way too high." And his response, he looked at me so nonchalant, and he was like, don't worry, I got a jibs in. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. And of course he pulled up and didn't hit the bird, right?
Right.
So I'm always wary when it comes to, because it's not because I don't want anybody shooting at high birds. It's just, if you're an experienced shotgun guy and you know the limits of your gun,
Thank you.
and you touched on something that I don't know that a lot of people do it. I do it because I was shown to do it. I didn't come up with it on my own. But when I set my decoy spread, I know where 30 yards is because that's where I set my furthest decoy. I know 30 yards is right there. So anything past that, I'm not shooting at it because I'm not, my chances of hitting it aren't great. Knowing the capabilities of your ammo, your shotgun, your tube,
And yourself.
that is trick number one that you need to realize when it comes to shooting this. And I
Exactly.
don't want to sound like I'm uppity and I know everything, but if you don't know the capability of your weapons platform, then your success is greatly going to be reduced.
No, and I'm right there with you. I mean, like you said, we all know guys that want to sky bust and take pokes, but why? You know, it goes back to what we kind of started. I guess it was in the pre-show.
Yeah.
It's all about being an ethical hunter as
Yeah,
well. You know, you owe it to the animal that you're hunting. You know, you're going to pull. I know some young guys over in Jersey, and they're big time waterfowl hunters, and they're good shotgun shooters. I've shot sporting clays with them, and they say that and I've never hunted with them yet. Hopefully that changes this year. But they have a couple of friends that whatever ammo they're using one of the new ammo formulas, but Muller chokes, and they have no problems. These guys can shoot. I can tell you that much.
Really?
And they're shooting birds at 50, 60 yards, and they're stoning them dead. So
really,
yeah. So like I said, I don't know which blend of ammo they're using, but yeah.
Well, and that's a whole different topic to get down is some of these, like, you know, you talk about Jimmy Mueller and Mueller chokes. Oh, we lost Craig. He'll come back. You talk about Jimmy Mueller and Mueller chokes, like he's designed a line of chokes just on Boss ammo alone, you know, and there's all these, God love the United States, right? Because there's just fellas are just innovative and they just, you know what, I can make a difference and they go for it. You don't see that within the hunting world in Canada, right? You see it other places in Canada, but within the hunting world and now, like, the mom and pop setups that are coming out with these blends of ammo right now, like, it is insane the success rates that you're seeing. Now you're going to pay for it,
Sure.
but, and that's a whole different topic to go down because people are, you know, so I'm shooting Apex, you shoot Boss, I shoot Apex, and again, it comes down to what your comfort level is and your capability and stuff like this. But I've got friends that are shooting bismuth, and I've got, because I'll still only shoot steel. I'm not putting the money into bismuth right now, and I've got friends that are shooting bismuth, and they've told me, like, people will look at them and they're like, "You're crazy, man! You're spending that kind of money on ammo," and their response is like, "Listen, I get out once, twice a month. When I go, I want to make sure I'm dropping the birds when I'm pulling up on them. And with that bismuth and tungsten, like, you're folding birds, but you're paying for it. And there's nothing wrong with steel. It's just, if you can do it with bismuth and tungsten, then go for it. Why not?
There might be a little bit of a subconscious positive there.
Yeah.
Because if you're shooting tungsten or bismuth or the most expensive round out there, you don't want to waste that ammo. You know, you're not going to go up there and dump a gun. You know what I mean? You're not going to go boom, 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 boom because you just fired like $18 worth of shot, you know, or shells.
Yeah, you're going to be a little bit more picky on your shot.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll make you a better shooter. You know, cautious, waiting for that right opportunity, right shot. that'll make you a better shooter.
Oh, 100%. Well, and listen, I see it. I see it a lot up here in a couple of the places that I frequent for hunt for birds. And this area, it's mostly a deer hunting area. So the fellas you see out early season that's hunting ducks and geese, well, they're really just trying to tide themselves over until deer season starts, right? So I'll go hunting and I just see bang, 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 bang. There's just shots going off crazy. And then you get back to the boat launch and I'm like, hey, how'd you guys do? And they were like, oh, we scared a few or whatever. And I'm like, ammo is obviously way too cheap right now. If you're firing like how I heard you firing, ammo's way too cheap for you or something. Yeah, fellas just need to be a little bit more picky with their shots. Stephen, buddy, Craig is having some technical difficulties, so he's gone, and we are almost at the hour mark, buddy. So, which is awesome because this hour flew by super fast, which means you got to come back on the show again. So
just say when.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it because there was a lot of great information, and I think because we bounced around, like you'd talk about something and then I'd get a question in my head and I never really let you finish a full thought before I would interject something else in there. So
that's a good conversation though. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So we gotta get you back on, buddy, and talk some more. And actually, I'm going to try and get my buddy Matt Pomeroy to come on. And Matt listens to the show. So, Matt, the pressure's on you for a couple reasons. So, Matt is a very knowledgeable shotgun instructor as well. But he is also the guy I was telling you about that works with NAVDA in New York. So, I think a great conversation could be had with you and him. And then us as well, picking your brains and trying to figure out this shooting world. Let's do. I'll give closing statements to you, buddy, and then we'll wrap her up and call it an episode, and then start planning the next one. So over to you.
Yes, thank you again. Thank you guys for having me on. Thank you, Damien. It's a real pleasure to finally meet you. Just if I could say anything about the shotgun sports. It just get out there, do it safely, do it smart, and practice as much as you can. And nothing is cheap these days, and time is precious. But if you get a chance, take yourself out, take the family out. It's a good sport for everybody, and just go break some targets and get comfortable with your equipment.
Absolutely, and I would be a little bit remiss and not listen. Stephen is. He accepts clients. And if you're in the Pennsylvania area, Philadelphia specifically, if you're in that area and you're looking just for some extra tips or some extra time, some extra trigger time, please reach out to him. Clays and Wings, you can find them on LinkedIn is where I found them. And then, we sort of started hanging out and chatting on Instagram, but check them out on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Steve Biello, and Clays and Wings, and head over and give them some love. And if you're in the area and if you're looking for a little bit of instruction, reach out to them, because I think you'll be impressed with just the little tips and tricks that Stephen can give you that will make your shooting experience that much more positive, and hopefully more birds in your freezer or more clay targets busted up. So Stephen, buddy, thank you so much for coming on. I know when I reached out to you, you were like, absolutely, let's do it. Let's do it. I didn't take any convincing from me to have to get you to come on. So I really appreciate it, buddy. And I'm serious. I want you to come back on because I think there's a whole hockey sock more word of stuff that we need to talk about. And I threw in that hockey reference because you spent some time on Broad Street, and that's
right down the street from my house. I can walk to the that.
That's where the bullies were born.
Yep.
Big love, everybody. This was episode 231. Check out Clays and Wings on social media, and reach out to Stephen and pick his brain, because I promise you, he's probably got something that'll help you out in your shotgunning. Big love. Until next time, surround yourself with good people.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.